Hi, my name is Carl Pearson, and I'm creating this video to explain how it is public policy to suppress small business and thereby promote big business and the ever-increasing concentration of the U.S. economy. I'm 83 years old, a practicing foreclosure defense attorney working in the heart of New York, New York. I'm a high school dropout, a graduate of Harvard Law School, and have been a small business person for 74 years. Today is my 46th day of self-imposed quarantine or stay-at-home lockdown. The U.S. now has more than 1,065,000 confirmed cases and 62,000 deaths due to the coronavirus. Politics results in federal laws, rules, and governmental agency or executive actions and decisions that suppress the ability of small business to compete and which favor big business with the inevitable known consequences of A, increasing the profitability of monopolies and oligopolies, B, increasing the concentration of the economy, that is, with the rich getting richer, C, the decline of the middle class, and D, impoverishing of 99% of U.S. citizens and residents. The Great Depression resulted in some legislation benefiting the American people, as did the Second World War, with the hiring of women and enactment of the post-war GI Bill of Rights, including unemployment insurance, employment preference, college tuition, and favorable guaranteed home loans. The country was warned by academicians about the concentrating economy during the 1950s, but nobody listened, and the concentration increased with big box retailing chains and then increased far more rapidly after creation of the internet. I don't need to prove for most viewers about the ever-increasing concentration of the economy, so I'm just going to explain 10 of the many hundreds of thousands of federal laws, rules, agency actions, judicial decisions, and executive, that is, presidential decisions, which I will loosely refer to as, quote, laws, unquote, that have resulted in this concentration. By explaining these 10 laws, you will hopefully be able to analyze other laws to see how they discriminate against small business. 1. The Sherman Antitrust Act, enacted in 1890, starting in about 1970, became unenforceable in a variety of ways. The federal litigation costs ranged between $100,000 and $10 million and involved about 5 years of litigation. My first case, which I commenced at the very end of enforceability in 1970, lasted 18 years. The U.S. Supreme Court issued a series of decisions making it increasingly more difficult, if not impossible, to maintain a Sherman Act case. These decisions also created complicated, costly tests to be met which permitted most monopolies to continue. Plaintiffs had to spend sometimes $250,000 or more in retaining and paying expert witnesses to study the industry and prepare their expert reports, and then pay for the legal costs and transcripts of the depositions of the expert witnesses for both sides. The Justice Department of the federal government should have done this, but increasingly the government failed to act, and instead approved most mergers with minor conditions that meant very little. Finally, the Supreme Court rendered decisions saying that even if a complaint was well pleaded, the judge could dismiss it merely by saying that he, quote, did not think that it was plausible, unquote. For example, for General Motors to conspire with Ford. I mean, why would General Motors want to conspire with Ford, the judge would say. 2. The student loan program, with a cost of about $1 trillion after loan repayments, not including unpaid interest. Most of these loans were for students attending colleges and universities. Big business, the military, and government provide most of the jobs for college graduates. These three types of employers use college graduates as their first step in a multi-level training program. These 4 years of training are provided free to these three types of employers. Small business has far less need for college graduates because they have no training program and need to hire someone with experience instead, whether or not the person went to college. In small business, we need someone who knows what to do, and this is usually not taught in college. 3. Big business is allowed to deduct the costs of a lunchroom and medical costs and insurance for employees and officers, but these same expenses are not deductible by small businesses. 4. Trillions of dollars in bailouts for banks and major corporations in 2008 and 2020 were not provided to small business. 5. Student loans, generally taken by non-wealthy students and their parents, are not able to be canceled in bankruptcy, unlike the debt of GMAC, Trump's casinos, and the debt of any big business, which makes it more difficult for persons with student loan judgments to obtain credit, a good job, housing, and start a small business. 6. The cost of patent renewal is comparatively low. $1,600, $3,600, and $7,400 at a 4 or 8 or 12-year renewal for businesses with hundreds of billions of dollars in sales, and 50% of that dollar amount for very tiny businesses that are 1,000 times smaller than the big business, so that small business cannot afford to renew, and the protection of the small business invention and its potential for profit is 1/5 of the 20-year protection easily afforded by big business. 7. Big business, the military, and the federal government, or a union pay for the medical care of their officers and employees, and these expenses of big business are deductible, whereas 60 million individuals and many small business owners and employees have no or substantially less health care coverage. 8. Small business owners generally have no business operations outside the U.S. and pay taxes on their profits at a higher rate than big business, I should add, whereas big business with operations throughout the world often pay little or no taxes on their combined trillions of dollars in income, so that the costs of providing federal protection for much of big business is paid by small business and individuals who are employees. 9. There are no federal programs that require federal purchasing from small business in relation to their comparative sales or comparative income or comparative number of employees or comparative income tax payments. So even if a small business charged more than big business, the higher actual tax rate of small business should be taken into account, but of course is not. 10. Testing for the coronavirus is more available to the top officials of big business, the military, and federal government than the owners of small business. I hope this video enables you to understand how the laws favor big business, which results in the ever-increasing concentration of the economy. Hopefully you can try to undo these restraints against small business by getting more politically involved. Of course, this is less possible when your finances are declining, which you can now understand should have been number 1 on my list. The monopolists understand that a strong middle class is dangerous to the monopolies, and the political process follows the campaign contributions, resulting in a public policy discriminating against small business. So unless you understand the monopoly and economic concentration problem, how do you expect to cure it? Well, I've said what I plan to say, and I'll say so long until my next video.